Thank you so much for buying the kit, and I'm going to follow along with the instructions in the kit step by step to show you how to do this. The first thing you're gonna do is place the rubber band a few times around the edge of your dowel, and then you're gonna get your leather. Now, the black and the brown leather are pretty flexible and pliable. The tan, this is a natural, so it has less treatment, and therefore it's a little stiffer. So if you got the tan, I just recommend working it in your hands for a few minutes before you begin, like so. Step 1, secure one end of the leather under the rubber band, just enough to make it snug and hold it. Leave an inch or so as a tail. And then you're gonna wrap across the dowel and around back, and then you're gonna come across again and around back like that to make an X. Now see the legs of your X? We're gonna go over this one and under this one. So over here, and I like to hold that, pinch that with my thumb, and then go under this top right leg. Now, as I'm working, I am not wrapping super tight. I'm leaving some space. This is gonna make it easier on you to not wrap super tight. That space will be taken up by all the over and under you're gonna do. So at this point, I'm gonna rotate the dowel down towards me. And on the back, I should see sort of 2 parallel lines. The working end is coming away down here. So on these 2 parallel lines, I'm gonna take the left one and lift it up and over the right one, like so. Okay? I like to hold them at the top with one hand. And then I'm gonna go under the left first and then over there. Now I'm gonna rotate this slightly. I see 2 parallel lines again. This time I'm gonna take the right and lift it over the left. So right over the left, like that. And basically make a little hole there. So take my working end again, and I'm gonna go under and then over. So under here, I'm sorry if my hands are in the way, but you can see what I'm doing. Under and then over. And now, my friends, you have actually completed the knot. So that's the sailor knot. So in order to make this beautiful, so you can see it's all the way around. We're back to our beginning point. So in order to make this pretty, we're gonna double this line. So this is the really important part. So you need to identify your starting point and that starting line that's coming out of your rubber band. So it is right here. It's this guy right here. So we're gonna take our working end and we're gonna follow it parallel, always staying to the right of it. And we're gonna follow it around to double it. So we start and go in where it goes in, right there, and then rotate this. It goes under, so we go under. At this point, after your first couple are secure, you might want to take the whole thing off of your dowel. It'll be easier. So it goes over, so we go over, then it goes under, so we're just gonna follow it. It's pretty easy, you just pay close attention. Because when I've made these before and I start spacing off, that's when I get into trouble. You just gotta make sure you're following the same line all the way around. And if you've got the hang of it, you can speed up the video a little bit to skip this part, because this is just watching me. Keep it parallel. Goes over. So now we're starting to see double lines. That's okay. Just stay with your friend here. Okay, we're almost back to the beginning. So if I look, everything's starting to double. We're back at our starting point. So we're gonna end it right in there. So, oops. Check your work, look around the whole thing, and everything should be doubled, but nothing should be tripled if you've ended in the right place. Yes? So at this point, I'd like to put this back on my dowel to kind of shape it and perfect it. The dowel is the correct diameter to make, you know, it good, so it fits snugly on a scarf or a bandana. So that's why we kind of want to check that it hasn't grown too big or gotten too small. Now, your first time around, you might have made it a little too small when you were doing it, if you pulled it too tight, or maybe it's too big, or maybe you have something goofy like, you know, a piece where there's extra slack or something like that. So remember, this is all one cord, it's all connected. So if you have slack like something like that, you can just push it and take it up and even everything out. And it might have to travel some distance to get to one of these ends, but eventually it will. If something like that happens, or you know, you've got just a lot of unevenness going around, you might want to consider that it could be easier, instead of following the slack out or tightening it, it might be easier to just undo the thing, put it back on your dowel, and start from the beginning. You know, practice never hurt anyone. So once you're satisfied with how that looks, we're going to trim the ends. And what we want to do with the ends, and it's a little hard to see inside there, but basically we want them to lay someplace where they will tuck in out of the way. So there's a little bit of a tail, but we don't want it sticking out. We want it tucked in neatly. So you're gonna kind of use your judgment call on that. You wanna follow where it naturally wants to go, because once you glue it, you don't want it to be pulling away from itself. So this kind of naturally wants to go there. So what I can do is, actually, I like to take a pen or a marker or something and make a little bit of a mark, like where I want to cut it. Same on this side. Cut it right there. And then I'll cut those. You might find it easier to pull some slack out of your end and cut it rather than trying to cut inside your slide. And then tuck it back in. I'll do the same on this side. I'll pull some slack out. There's my mark. Cut it. Now it's out, but I can just tuck it back in. Now kind of identify where where those ends are gonna fit snugly in there. And then at this point, if you feel like this feels pretty secure, you don't actually have to glue it. It's really not gonna come apart unless you start pulling at it. However, if you'd like to glue it just for some extra security, you can do so. You might get this glue in your kit, or you might get another kind of super glue. Both are gonna work fine. And remember, a little dab will do you. This part's always a little awkward, but you're just gonna do your best and clean up any glue afterwards. So I like to stick it in there and then clamp it with the clothespin and let that set for at least 5 or 10 minutes, just to make sure the glue's really dry before you take it off. And then once you do, you can glue the other side in, clamp it, and then you are ready to enjoy your beautiful slide. One final tip for a super professional finish on the black is, you see where you cut it, you can see the core is tan. You can color that with a little magic marker. And that'll kind of help disguise that. Not that anyone's gonna see that but you, especially once it's on a scarf, but you know, if it makes you happy.